Welcome to SomeGuy's Garage. Quick video today, just looking at a few different types of the Knipex pliers, you could say. They're all a little bit different, but similar sort of design. What you might have called Channellocks in the past. You know, Channellocks, the ones that are kind of slide adjustable. These ones use a groove mechanism here, but these all have kind of different purposes, and we'll take a look at their function today. So starting on the left here, these are the Cobras. These are all the 250 mil or about 10-inch pliers. So these have the push button adjust. So they are able to adjust this way with a sliding and very precise. So small increments, you can see there with the teeth, just how small the increments are. And they're really designed for pipes and things like that. They have opposed teeth. If you look very closely here, the teeth are kind of opposed either way, and they're meant for grabbing onto typically pipes and things like that. You can use these for nuts or bolts, but they will mar the surface a bit, so those teeth will grab and kind of make a mess of the face of the bolts. But that's the Cobras. These are probably the most typical ones you see out there, and what Knipex is really known for. But moving on to the next style, these are the Alligators. So exactly the same jaw design. We can take a closer look here, but the exact same jaw design, but the adjustment mechanism is different. So this has kind of a almost half moon or 3/4 moon rivet in it, and when you move it past a certain point, it'll allow it to slide. So you don't have to use a push button. These adjust more like the old Channellock style, where it's a slide once you move past a certain point. But otherwise, same jaw design. And the difference here is, one, you don't have to deal with the push button, but also in dirtier locations. So if you were using these outside where they might get mud or grime in them, this kind of a mechanism is maybe a little bit more finicky, whereas this is going to be more tolerant of any of that. It's also a bit of a looser design overall, but nonetheless, they are pretty well the identical purpose and use of the Cobras, but these are the Alligators. Next, those are the Raptors. They really have good names, eh? We got Cobras, Alligators, Raptors. So these have the push button adjust as well, so same as the Cobras, but a different head design. And this is really designed to grip bolts on 3 sides. So you have the one face here, the one face here, and the one face down here, and that grabs onto the bolts. I'll show what they look like grabbing onto bolts just here in a minute. I've got a bolt over here that we can try that with. But again, push button adjust, and really these are just for using on nuts and bolts, kind of as a almost an adjustable wrench, but in tighter areas or certain directions where you need to get that extra grip, these are quite good for that. And finally, the last one here doesn't have a cool name, but these are the Pliers Wrench. These are really a replacement for an adjustable wrench. So they again have the push button adjust, so you can slide them open, but they keep 2 parallel jaws. So you can see as you move that, the jaws actually stay parallel and works just like an adjustable wrench. The advantage of these over an adjustable wrench, though, is because of that little bit of jaw movement, you can actually ratchet with these. So if you keep doing the same direction, it will ratchet. And you also aren't always fighting with the little adjustment wheels. These, you can just open them up a little bit to get off the nut or bolt, and then tighten up again when you actually get back on it. And surprisingly, they do grip a fair bit. You can get quite a bit of torque out of these, more than you would expect out of a pair of pliers, just given the hinge design and how these work. I think Knipex says something like 10-to-1. For the amount you squeeze here, you get 10 times that force at the jaws holding that bolt together. I find these, in especially the 10-inch and the 7-inch size, I've done another video on them, but they're very, very useful as a replacement for an adjustable wrench, or even just an open-ended wrench and regular combo wrench, simply because you can grab one pair and you have all those different sizes in a single wrench, but not the finicky nature of a adjustable wrench or how it rounds things off. So I'll usually use these when I'm trying to hold the back side of a nut or a bolt and use an impact wrench, or if I just need to do a little bit of light assembly work or disassembly work. These are kind of convenient to grab rather than an adjustable or a handful of spanners if I don't know what size I need. So just to show how they kind of grab onto a nut and bolt, I've got just a nut and bolt and a couple washers there. Open these up to roughly the right size here. A little harder one-handed. But you can see how this, where it grabs on, it's using those teeth. And because of that teeth, if you really get a lot of torque on it, it will start to mar the bolt. But the nice thing is you do kind of get the 1, 2 face and then the third down here grabbing that. So it does hold on quite well. So that's how those grab on. These are exactly the same. Just find the right size here. Probably it's roughly the right size. Yep, close enough. I might go one wider there. Yeah. No. So yeah, the downside again to the alligators is the adjustment mechanism. Because it's not as fine as these and even though they'll work better in grime, the adjustment isn't as fine. So you do have a little bit more range per size and you might not get the handles quite where you want them. But again, these kind of grab on the same way as the Cobras. Next, the Raptor. So again, we'll open it up roughly to size here and grab onto the bolt, maybe just a little bit more on that. So there you go. You can see this really does grab nicely on 1, 2, and 3 sides and gives you a lot more grip than, say, the Cobras without marring any of the faces of the bolts. So these are really meant just for bolts, whereas these are, like I was saying, more for pipes and plumbing fittings and things like that. So that's how the Raptors grab. And then finally the Pliers wrench here. So we'll open those up as well. I usually use them grabbing on the flats like this. You could sink it back into the jaws, but you don't really buy anything and you start to run into this shoulder here. So really it's just the kind of 2 flats there, but it does get a really good grip on the nut or bolt that you're doing nonetheless, as long as you're squeezing hard enough on the pliers, and the harder you squeeze, the more grip you have there. But otherwise works really well. And then just to show kind of how the jaws, the ratcheting action works, as you come around, they open up there. You can kind of see that as you come the one direction, they open up a little bit and you can pull, ratchet, etc. The other advantage to these you'll find interesting is they are kind of self-locking. So you can see here, I'm only holding the one handle and I can put a fair bit of force on this and they don't let go. So as you're pushing, and this goes for all the different plier types, so same with the Cobras here, as you lock onto them and you pull, they self-lock onto the bolt. So you can get a lot of force and a lot of leverage and they don't slip very easily, even if you're not squeezing hard enough. But that's kind of one of the advantages of some of the Knipex designs, is you can have that kind of self-locking, you can even see it says it here, but self-locking capability. Anyway, like I said, that's just a quick look at the Cobras, the Alligators, the Raptors, and the unfortunately named Pliers Wrench. Come on, Knipex, let's find a better name for these. But if you have any questions about these types of pliers, let me know in the comments below. If you aren't already subscribed, please consider it. And as always, thanks for watching. One other thing people always ask is, what is the size difference between them and which ones they should get? So these are the 300mm Alligators, 300mm Cobras, and 300mm Pliers Wrench. This is the 250 Pliers Wrench, 250 Cobras, and 250 Alligators. This is the 250 Raptors. I don't have these in any other size, and I don't think they make them in another size. I'll have to double check that. These are the 180 Pliers Wrench, the 180 Cobras, and the 180 Alligators. And then finally the 125 Pliers Wrench and the Cobra Extra Small, or Cobra XS. Out of the sizes here, my favorites in the Pliers Wrench especially are the 180s and the 250s. Those are probably the 2 sizes I use the most. Similarly, probably the 250s and the Cobras, or even going up a size, especially on pipes, the little bit more leverage in size is very helpful. I actually find the 125s almost useless. I never go and grab these. These ones will pretty well cover the same range as that, and when you're getting the small, I don't find I use those as much. And then the extra small, they're kind of cool. They don't actually have a push button, so these are slide adjust more like the Alligators, but they are still a Cobra. But I don't find myself using these too much. I keep these in a little tool bag separate to everything here, and they're handy for that sort of purpose where you just want something compact. But yeah, recommendations, definitely start with the 180mm, which are the 7-inch, and the 250mm, which are the 10-inch. Maybe grab a 12-inch pair. The smaller sizes more for everyday carry sort of things and not day-to-day use tools.